So there's a lot of benefits when it comes to using accommodating resistance, and more importantly, what we're talking about here is isokinetics. So not only do you get faster results, right? It's also safer because we're working on this U versus U situation primarily with isokinetics, right? The bands and the chains, you have a different situation. You still have a decent amount of risk for injury. Still a big benefit, especially on the functional training side. But when it comes down to the injury side, you got to be careful with those things. That's why one of the reasons why isokinetics is so beneficial, because especially with most of the machines that are out there, and most of the time you're working on the concentric phase only, it's really you versus you in terms of how much force you can produce against that machine. It's not the machine producing this force against you. So it also allows you to use almost maximum force production or torque production throughout the range of motion that you're using, again without this risk for injury, which is also why you don't need to do much of a warm-up. I've showed this to people, and I get a little bit scared every time I do it, actually, because I don't know for sure what's going to happen. You have to have a little bit of faith, and I've done it a bunch of times, but a lot of times when I demonstrate the isokinetic machine that we have to people, I'll do it from being completely cold, just to prove a point, to show them that I'm not going to get hurt from it, and I'll do it as hard as I can, or pretty close to it, and to show that that it's the eccentric loading that really causes most of the risk for injury. So basically, again, you don't need to warm up as much. You don't need as long of a duration and reps and volume. Especially, again, this is coming back to the NARP research, which is hard to extrapolate out for athletes to say that you need shorter workouts. But typically, when these studies were done, again, they more of in the general population, they don't need as much of a duration in their workout to see the benefit. Probably the biggest benefit, right, of not having an eccentric phase is that you don't have any delayed onset muscle soreness, which is huge. It's also huge for the rehab process. So, if you can get the results that you're looking for, again, especially for the average person, this is one of the reasons why I've always wanted to be, involved in creating Physio Gym, because it was like, why isn't the average person using isokinetics, right? And again, the old isokinetic machines are super expensive. I mean, even the isokinetic machine that I have, is really expensive as well. But it would make sense for your average person to train with isokinetics because they see a huge benefit. But our fitness industry is really driven by weightlifting and bodybuilding, and ultimately the people that are into fitness are usually really advanced, black belt level people, trickling the information down, and they don't cross over with the rehab side. And again, these machines are really expensive, so you don't typically see them in the average gym. You're not going to be able to line up, $30,000 machines, to be able to make this work, in a gym setting. And then again, there's a bit of a learning curve on the training side for the trainers, and people are happy with the devil that they know. But to me, it makes a lot of sense, that you would want to do this type of training if you had the possibility to do it. So, which is again one of the reasons why I jumped on it. This next bullet point is one of the things I thought was really interesting. Was that visual feedback actually increases torque production or just output in general by 15 to 20%. So if we think back to that slide that had the picture of the person doing the isokinetic machine, and then you have the computer system sitting next to it, whenever you're able to see that digital display, it actually increases your force production by 15 to 20% versus not seeing it, which I thought was really, really interesting. So it allows you to get more, this idea of overtraining with the art of overtraining without overtraining, so to get more out of it. So that's one of the things that's a little bit limiting on the isokinetic machines that we have. We don't have a real accurate force production readout on the machines. You have that speedometer that's on there, which helps definitely, but some of these other digitized force production machine or biodix isokinetic machines are more accurate, and the visual feedback that they provide is better. So, again, another huge benefit is metrics tracking and testing in return to sports. You're able to measure rate of force production, starting strength, maximum strength, acceleration strength, all of these things which you can't test, with bands and chains and weights and body weight exercises. So, the isokinetic testing has a huge benefit when it comes down to that.